I was talking to somebody this morning, mentioning that I was doing this, and he said, "Oh yeah, it's alive." And I said, "Yeah, and it's alive again, and it's still alive." And I said, "But let me tell you something about Larry, and that is that there was always something that was deeper than the obvious part of the movie, and that's Larry. Larry's a deep dude. There's just no doubt about it."
Larry's a writer or director, producer, do it all in his backyard kind of a guy.
Larry understands how a screen story is really effective, how to make it effective for an audience.
Larry does it all. He'll supply his own house, he'll supply the set, he'll supply the extras. Amazing fellow.
You have to think fast when you work with Larry. I mean, you never knew with Larry when you were going to work. I mean, you would get a call from Larry and go, "Where are you?" And go, "What are you talking about?" "We're filming, we need you." And he's like, "Okay, it would have been nice to know the day before, but I'll get my kid, and one day, he came out and says, "I need you to come out and do some makeups tomorrow," or I think he gave me a day's notice, "Okay, what do you need?" "I need some bullet holes or something." "All right." Go to his house, I look all around, and it's full of black people, and I go, "What is this movie?" And I said, it's called Black Caesar. It's all black cast. It's like the beginning of black exploitation films. God, Larry, I wish you would have told me they were all black people. It makes a difference. I had my makeup kit, and it's mostly white people colors. It would have really been nice to know.
Well, during that so-called period of black exploitation movies, which I never understood what it meant anyway, who the hell was being exploited? The actors were working, we were getting paychecks, the audiences were being satisfied because now the black star was the hero. I had 3 rules. You can't kill me, I have to win all my fights, and I get the girl at the end of the movie if I want her. Now, they weren't ready for that kind of personality and character, so I had to seek out and find my own venues. First film I did with Larry was Black Caesar. It was my interpretation of Edward G. Robinson in Technicolor. It was one scene where we had a fight in a coal field where it was all coal and stuff, and black coal. Coal that you'd shovel into the stove to warm it down. And he says, "Well, you're gonna jump in there and fight, and then they're gonna cover you up." I says, "Okay, that's fine. You do it first." So every time he gave me something like that, I made him do it first, and he did it. We pulled him out of the coal. I said, "Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it a little more graceful than you did it, and a little better than you did it, but at least I know you can survive it." When you have no money, you automatically become a guerrilla filmmaker. His ace in the hole was me, because having been a football player, I had some kind of communication with people when they came around. The police would come around and they said, "Hammer, what you doing here?" Says, "I'm making a movie." "You got a permit?" "Well, no, I wouldn't have a permit." "Well, I'm gonna be gone I'm gonna drive around, be back in a half hour. You guys be gone." So Larry utilized what little power that I had in New York at the time, because we did a lot of things that most people couldn't have got away with.
I did a number of films with Larry that he only hired me for one day, but he would do all the makeup stuff in one day. For example, in It's Alive, he goes, "I want you to tear this guy's throat out." So I did this makeup of the guy with his throat torn out. So he puts a hospital scrub kind of gown thing on him, lays him down on the floor in the kitchen, shoots a shot of him there, changes his shirt, takes him outside, throws him in the ivy, shoots a shot of him there, puts a different shirt on him, puts him over here in the bushes and shoots the shot. So he used the same makeup 3 times, got his money's worth out of it.
I did a movie called The Honeymoon Killers, and it was Truffaut's favorite film, and Larry Cohen loved that film as well. And he asked me to perform in a play that he wrote called Nature of the Crime, where I was to perform as Oppenheimer. And I questioned, why he would cast me after seeing Honeymoon Killers, which was a romantic Latin lover killer. I said to him, "Are you sure?" He said, yeah, I really want you to play that part. I said, I want you to convince me that you really believe I can do this part. So anyway, I did get some actors together, and he auditioned them all and then came to me, and I said yes. And he said, yeah, I still want you to do the part. And I said, why? He said, because they have given me already what they're going to do. You are going to give me something different.
You know, Larry's always truly smiling and grinning. He's very charming and enthusiastic. And there isn't anything much nicer than someone who's truly enthusiastic about what you're doing and about the project. I felt very free, and if I missed a line or if I made one up in place of it, or if I made it different so that I felt it could truly come out of this character's mouth, he wouldn't have any problem with that. I know he paces back and forth, speaking out loud into a microphone to write his movies. He's not going to concern himself, I don't think, very much with a lot of things that concern a lot of people in Hollywood. He's just going to make sure that what he says into that microphone is going to be really worth watching. And it doesn't matter if it's in a phone booth or a guy with a cell phone or crazy people on a roof with misshapen babies.
Let me tell you what It's Alive really is about. The story of It's Alive is a paean, an ode really, to the absoluteness of mother love.
I have this thing about babies and children. I mean, nothing moves me like children. There's this baby, and it was a monster, and Sharon Farrell loved it so much that she would never give it up. She would never leave it, because who cares what it looks like or what it is? It's her baby, and I so understood that.
No matter what is with the child, the mother will love the child. That's what that movie's about.
I was actually living at Dick Smith's house working on The Exorcist when Larry called me about It's Alive, and somehow tracked me down there. Said, I want to do this movie with a baby monster. And, you know, this baby is born, he's monstrous, he kills everybody in the delivery room and, you know, runs through the city, kills everybody, you know. Okay, well, that's going to be kind of hard, you know. I was like, and he was saying, well, I never wanted to see the baby, I just want something, I want you to make something. And I made this baby monster in 2 weeks, you know, designed, sculpted, molded, cast, painted, got this thing together. Larry was in the process of filming the movie already at his house. Bring it over, he loves it. And he goes, I love this thing. He goes, okay, well, I just want to stick it in front of the camera, you know. He goes, let's shoot a scene with it. And I go, it's just like a dummy that doesn't do anything. Remember, you're not going to show it do anything. You don't want to see it. He goes, yeah, but I like it a lot more than I thought I was going to, so let's shoot a scene. Let's make her crawl across the ground and climb up on Sharon Farrell's lap. And I go, no, it's a dummy. You know, and remember we talked about it. It's like, well, figure out something. I said, well, how about if I do a makeup on somebody that looks like this, and we'll build part of a costume, and we'll, you know, at the end of this thing, you can sit down and put them in a dark room and just shoot some shots of the head, you know, go, you know. Okay, we got 2 weeks. Went home and made this head and hands and part of a costume in 2 weeks. Again, it was like, no, I want to have him crawl across the room and crawl up on this thing and do. I go, there's only this much of a suit, you know, it only goes to here. You know, it's like, well, we'll work it out. So the poor person was like crawling with her elbows tucked under the suit because there was no, this part of the suit didn't exist, you know. It's always an adventure when you're working with Larry, you know.
I was doing another play called Yanks 3 Detroit Nothing Top of the Seventh at the American Place Theater in 1975, I believe it was. And Larry came to see the play and told me that he had this movie that he wanted me to do, which is God Told Me To, or Demon, which was 2 titles for it.
I've seen Larry's sick films. I mean, you know, they're like the neurotic personality that the man is. You know, deep inside, this quiet Larry Cohen is a weird dude, you know, and he finds ways to bring that weirdness out in all his films.
His approach to horror is more in terms of the drama rather than trying to frighten the audience.
He made a couple of movies that were so politically explosive. He made a movie about J. Edgar Hoover that he almost could not release. I think it was quite a while before he was able to get a release because they tried to stop it, because it was pretty much an expose, and it was a brilliant film, and it had no monsters in it, unless you, of course, count J. Edgar Hoover or Rip Torn.
I don't remember one person saying, hey, this is weird, or you know, what the hell kind of a movie are we in? You know, I don't remember that at all. I love big challenges, and I love hard things that are difficult to do. So we would go and steal everything. I mean, I don't think Larry had permits to shoot where we were shooting. There was a wonderful scene in the St. Patrick's Day parade, and that's where the great Andy Kaufman, I think was one of his first films, was playing a policeman who then goes crazy and gets killed. He just threw Andy Kaufman into the parade and shot it, stealing it. I think he did that before we even started the movie. We'd go down to Little Italy. He had no permit to go there, and we'd shoot this scene, and then he was called in by the gentlemen of the neighborhood, and they requested he come for a little visit. So Larry said to me, "Tony," I said, "Yeah." He said, "Come with me." I said, "Where are we going?" I said, "Well, just come with me." I had no clue the way he was taking me. So I went with him and into the storefront where the gentleman was seated behind a table. And the gentleman said to him, "What are you doing shooting here?" He said, "What? You're shooting a movie in my neighborhood? And you don't ask me? You don't come to me?" He said, "Well," Larry said, very nervously, because I could see Larry, you know. He said, well, I have Tony LoBianco. I was like the presentation, you know, like the permit. So I moved into the gentleman, and he looked at me and recognized me from, I guess, French Connection or whatever films I did. And he said, "All right, we can make some accommodation here."
I knew Larry we were in the Army together, and we were kind of buddies. He saved my ass once. He didn't save my life, but he saved my ass, and we were very close. And we had always wanted to do a picture together. Larry and I were going to do a movie called I, the Jury. Larry got in some arguments with the company, and there was a whole big scam, and they fired him as a director, but they had to pay him as the director-writer. And so he took the money, and he went into the Mayflower Hotel, and in like 8 days, he wrote Q, using as the money to shoot it the fee they'd paid him for not directing I, the Jury. Larry was like that. And then I was at the Cannes Film Festival showing my movie Americana that I directed at the Quinzaine des Réalisateurs, the Directors Fortnight, which is another festival they have at the same time. But anyway, I got this telegram from Larry Cohen that said, "Show up in New York with clothes for a detective." And I went to New York, and they gave me the script, and I read it, and I went, "Oh my God, it's a monster movie. You know, I don't do these things." You remember this guy that climbed the Twin Towers? Well, the same guy that rigged him rigged me, so I was actually standing up in those triangular openings, which don't have any glass in them, and leaning out, shooting at this helicopter that was going around that's supposed to be the monster, right? But what happened was people down on Lexington Avenue, down below, they looked up and saw all this and thought we were being attacked, you know, like terrorists or something. And so the police came and shut us down. But Larry had that figured out. He knew he was going to get shut down, and he had an alternate location for the interior of the Chrysler building where he'd already stashed the egg and everything. But we got huge publicity. You know, the thing that they made, it turned out it kind of looked like a chicken. And he said, "You know, this isn't going to work." So he went out and found that flying dinosaur to use instead. So it kind of screws up because Q is supposed to be a feathered serpent, and it wasn't. It's a, you know, thick-skinned dinosaur. And I always hated that bird. People asked me what I was doing, and I'd say, well, it's kind of the chicken that ate New York. And finally, Larry said, "Will you please stop saying that? I mean, stop making fun of the movie." And I said, okay, I will.
Action!
I notice with people who are in the arts, who write or who act or who direct or who paint, what is noble to them is a concept. When they talk to you, they want you to understand this concept. This is what's honorable, this is what's valuable. This concept, I want you to see this concept. And that's their approach to communication and life.
Larry knows what to get, so he does everything and he can do it quicker than everybody else, and trying to get them to move that or go here or do this and so on and so forth, and direct his play that he's written. So with that abundance of energy, with that abundance of vision, he's able to put all that together in all the films that he's done prior to this and then hit on one.
I think Larry's contribution is you can do it. If you have the will and you have the idea, you don't have to have 20 million or 40 million or 50 million to make your film work. Go out there and shoot the scene, hide your camera so nobody knows you're shooting it, and you can steal all this stuff, you know? I mean, that's what I picked up from Larry Cohen is to be a good thief in making movies.
Larry always fills his pictures with friends of his, and that's just the way Larry is. But you know, that's the way the whole movie industry really works, is you work with people that you know, people you like. Who wants to work with somebody you don't like?
Hey there, darling angel pie.
That's pretty much my whole story with Larry. Of course, there's years and years of hanging out with him, but that's something else.
Is that the vision to Mr. Stroheim?
It was a very good idea, and don't make any mistakes this time. Marie!